right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 360 Sports Show, coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. I am Andrew Selly. He's Christian Lauber. We have got a ton to get to today. A ton. NBA draft was this week. NBA free agency started. And there is a mess, a big, giant mess to sort through. And we're going to do it here with you live. We are live every Sunday at 11 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. Just look for The 360 Sports Show or at 360 Sports Show. You can comment on any of those live streams, and you can also reach us at The 360 Sports Show at gmail.com. Anytime throughout the show and throughout the week, we will get to our mailbag segment. At the end, we put out the show as a podcast, as always, right after the conclusion of our live broadcast, and you can find that on Sounder FM or through your favorite podcast app. So, Christian, first, let's start with our normal thing. How many days left in 2020 do we have? Because this godforsaken year needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, especially after this NBA free agency so far. Now that's just the cherry on top, but we got 40 days even. So we're getting down there now, but Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then we're good.
Yeah, so that's the good news, is that there's only 40 days left in 2020. We don't try to just focus on Boston sports. We try to give the 360. We give the full circle coverage and view of everything. But it's hard to ignore this Gordon Hayward situation because it's so interesting. There's so many layers to it, and we're going to try and sift through the entire thing. I know I have a pretty solid rant in me. So, in lieu of that, I'm going to let you go first on this Gordon Hayward thing, because I know you're going to be more direct and more succinct before I just completely explode. And it's also, hey, Christian, actually, first off, it's good to see you. The Celtics didn't make 3 draft picks in the first round. They traded one of those away, so you're back here on the show.
Would they get a couple seconds or a future second rounder? So great.
God,
so
the conditions on that are like 8 pages long, but
so we trade to get But anyway, let's start on Hayward. So I was ready to come on here today and just go absolutely bananas, but I'm not going to do that yet because I know Adam Himmelsbach was reporting yesterday, about 14 hours ago, that there could be a sign and trade still for the Celtics. And the way it would work, hopefully, is if they can get a massive player exception for Hayward in that sign and trade, it could free up to about $20 million in cap space. So if there was a way for one Bogdanovich to come to the Celtics after all of this, along with Jeff Teague and Tristan Thompson, who we will get into, I will not be as annoyed, but I still will be annoyed. So, we'll get there when we get there. But on Hayward, there was a deal out there with Indiana, I believe. So what that was, I don't know what Indiana compared to what Boston wanted. Obviously, Ainge is trying to win every deal as per usual. And this is kind of what happens. You get greedy, you wait too long, and then Hayward gets a call from MJ saying, we're going to pay you out the nose for a guy that's been, hurt a majority of the last 3 seasons. And there you go. The bigger contract wins. So here's where I'm at. I'm waiting for the sign and trade, hopefully. I'm still holding out hope. And then, next week, if nothing happens, then I will go absolutely bonkers. But I will say in this scenario right now, I'm not happy about the situation. Look, you're losing a guy who a lot of people don't like at this point for some reason. Obviously, he's categorically overpaid probably just for what he gave you, but also he had some injury history. So you lose out on a guy because Ainge, once again, he continues to draft these young guys, build up the main red clause, and then do nothing for the actual roster. So people are going to come in, and Celtics fans are really excited about Aaron Nesmith. Like, he's, the second coming of Jesus. So it's like, I don't know, you take 2 picks, you lose Hayward, and then you get Tristan Thompson and Jeff Teague. And you could have had maybe Miles Turner, a pick, Dougie McBuckets there. You could have had a number of things from Indiana, it feels like, if you just wanted to pull the trigger. But Danny's just forever holding out for that one extra piece so he can swindle someone and get in, astronomically win the deal, i.e., Brooklyn for Garnett and Pierce. He still loves that deal. He's obsessed with himself over that deal.
So it didn't have to come to this. That's my take, right? It didn't have to come to this. And here's just like kind of a rough timeline, and here's why. Hayward opted out on Thursday. At that moment, he's an unrestricted free agent. When free agency begins, he can sign with anyone. Now, we all know usually 6:01 comes on Friday or whenever free agency begins. Like that moment, a minute afterwards, bam, 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 contracts being signed everywhere. Well, guess what happened? The Bucks and the Kings have an investigation going on right now because Bogdanovich, who was a free agent, seemed like they already had a contract in place with Milwaukee. And the league said, that doesn't pass the sniff test. We think there's some tampering going on. So I think a lot of these other teams all of a sudden kind of stepped back and said, all right, the big bright light is being shined on us. We need to maybe take a step back and not be as aggressive here with our tampering. That's not tampering. That's maybe back channeling. So I'm sure Gordon Hayward had an idea of what he was going to get on the market, but you don't know for sure until those teams pick up the phone. So you have basically 24 hours from the moment he opts out till when that free agency begins to work with him. And if there's any other teams that you're trying to make sign and trades with, allow those negotiations to happen. Basically, you could just have the conversation between you and Indiana or whoever else. And we saw the rumors about the Hawks and the Knicks, Charlotte a little bit. And most of it was like, okay, these teams have the cap space. The Pistons are another team that Matt Murphy mentioned last week that has had cap space, which they used, to go after big players. We all said, does Gordon Hayward want to go to any of those places? What's the simplest thing here? The simplest thing, and what likely is going to happen, is that he just wants to go home. He wants to go to Indiana. He wants to have a bigger role, get paid, be home, all those things, right? I tweeted out at 12:20. I wanted to look up the timestamps. 12:26 on Friday. So you got like 5.5 hours before free agency really begins. The Pacers offer was Miles Turner, Doug McDermott, and a pick for Gordon Hayward, Semi Ojeleye. Could have ended up being somebody else, but his salary was the one that fits. And that's it. It's a sign and trade. Hayward was going to get 4 years, $96 million. Other places have had 4 and $100. That's kind of what the Knicks were offering, was 4 years and $100. Then they actually decided when they got out of the conversation was when, Friday night when they're offering only like 3 years, 70 something. Hayward wanted the 4 years. He was going to get it in Indiana. Danny Ainge wanted to haggle on that pick. He wanted to kick it down the road. He wanted to put protections on it. He wanted to make it just like he did with Memphis, where he could maybe wind up with a lottery pick in the future at some point out of this deal. Which is fine. Do your diligence. Try and get the best trade you can. But in a situation where a guy is leaving, he is going to leave, and there's a potential that he could just sign somewhere else and you don't get anything, take anything. This was never about keeping Gordon Hayward. This was about maximizing the return of him leaving. So you had all this time to work out a trade. Then you find out the worst kept secret gets out, right? He's only focused on Indiana, Shams Charania says. I think that emboldened Ainge to say, hey, now I know I've got the Pacers where I want them. I'm going to bend them over the barrel and try and get more. I'm going to ask for TJ Warren. I want Oladipo. I want Warren and Oladipo and a pick. That's fine. If you want to ask for that and then work your way back to what you originally wanted, maybe the Pacers settle and you get a deal done before 6 o'clock. Once 6 o'clock came, other teams can pick up the phone now. Michael Jordan can pick up the phone and say, hey, 4 years, $100 million. And Hayward can say, I really want to go to Indiana. The Knicks are offering the same thing. I said no. Hawks are offering the same thing. I'm saying no. The longer it dragged on into the night on Friday, the Celtics Ainge's perceived position of strength was eroding. And what happens? Things you can't control. Montrezl Harrell decides not to go to Charlotte. He decides to go to the Lakers. And there's all sorts of reasons for that we can get into. All of a sudden, Charlotte's got a whole bunch of more money now that they weren't planning on having. So they call Hayward late. So, like I said, 12:26 p.m., I had the deal. 5:49, Gary Washburn has the same deal. 11:49 p.m. Mark Stein reiterates Hayward focused on Indiana. Maybe the Knicks are trying to push for more cash, but Hayward's focused on Indiana. And here's the deal. And he lays out the same thing, the package that we all had, the three of us all had. Late that night, Michael Jordan picks up the phone, says, listen, how about 4 years, 120 mil? Now Hayward has to stop and think. And I think, and I don't begrudge him one bit for this. Imagine, and this is why I don't think Celtics fans should be at all upset with Gordon Hayward. I see people like, oh, he abandoned us, he left him, screw him. Do you think that guy, when he was lying on the floor in Cleveland in the first 5 minutes of his Celtics career with his leg in half, could have possibly imagined, one, that he would still be playing basketball, and two, that he'd have the opportunity to get another massive maximum contract? I don't begrudge him one bit for wanting to leave Boston. Not that it didn't work. Not that I don't think he would have wanted it to work. Not that I think he was like truly unhappy here or hated his teammates. I think he came back from that injury and was a consummate pro. He came here to be the man with Kyrie. And obviously once he got hurt, that wasn't going to happen and Tatum flourished. So I understand. Change of scenery. It just, the injury stuff here, it just was inconsistent. The team is moving in a different direction. Tatum is going to be their face. Maybe he doesn't want to be a role player. It's all fair. He's a free agent. And new kid, pandemic, all this garbage. After everything he's been through, him choosing $120 million, I can't fault the guy for that one bit. He still was willing to go to Indiana, though, and the Celtics didn't budge. I blame Danny Ainge 100% for the situation. He can't control Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward decided to take the money. Who wouldn't? I think most people would. When an extra $20 million is thrown in your face, especially for that guy, given what he's been through, I don't think he ever imagined somebody would offer him, one, the role. He's going to be a starter. He's going to be a major part of that team. And $120 million over 4 years. He was willing to take the $496 and go home to Indiana. And you know how I know that? And that Charlotte was not like at all, even though he wanted to go there back in 2014 because Kemba was there. Now Kemba's here. He wasn't prepared for it. I guarantee you he had I'm coming back to Boston for 1 year, or I'm coming home, Indiana, Players Tribune stories ready to go. And instead, what did we get? Like 3 tweets at like 9:30 last night. Hey, thanks, Boston. It was great. I love you. I know you love me. Thanks for sticking with me. And hey, Charlotte, let's get ready. Let's go do this thing. That does not seem like the guy who was like, weighing all these options and having some sort of, I finally decide. I think he had a whole bunch of money thrown at him. He said, you know what? I'm going to take that. Michael Jordan just threw cash in his face.
Yeah.
I can't blame him. I blame Ainge. You should never have gotten to that point. You had no control over the player or the situation. He thought he did. He gambled and was wrong. And I'm sorry, that's incompetence. That's the type of stuff like rookie GMs do, right? I think Ainge is a good GM. There's plenty of bad GMs in that league. Plenty of them. Tons. He's not a bad GM. In this situation, you had no control over the player. He thought he did. Right? It's like, you thought you knew everything, but you didn't. Once 6 p.m. came Friday, they should have just said, okay, we'll take the deal. Even if, like we've said, maybe they didn't like Miles Turner. Who cares? Take the deal. Get something. Turn around and trade Miles Turner to somebody else. Look at all the trades that have happened. All these guys getting moved. Trevor Ariza is on like his 17th team since Wednesday, right? Like, the teams are willing to deal. There's teams that just want to eat up guys on short-term contracts or bad contracts or poor fits. Trade him to, the Pistons. They want to start all bigs. It just, or the Thunder. I mean, it's just, it blows my mind that, and hey, maybe they thought, hey, we're willing to let Hayward walk for nothing because we're still going to get Tristan Thompson and Jeff Teague, and We don't want Miles Turner or Doug McDermott and I don't care. You got nothing for the guy, and you could have. And you could have turned. And not only that, unless they work out a sign and trade here, like you said, Christian, they have no flexibility for this year. They're gonna have to throw picks. Those picks Danny loves to hold on to, which he wasn't willing to package together to move up in the draft. Now he's gonna have to put them together and throw them at the Hornets and say, please, please, Michael Jordan, please do us the favor and do a sign and trade. You're gonna have to sweeten the pot after everything to get a sign and trade done. Oh, so bad. Danny's the one who got fleeced. So
That's not what I'm reading. I'll read the opposite. Danny Ainge doesn't deserve all the criticism. It's not his fault that Hayward took the money. The problem is people are leaving
no,
out the
it's
details.
not. It's not. But that's people who are thinking that Hayward was going to stay. Who thought the Celtics were going to offer any sort of contract to him for him to stay? Other than like, hey, we'll give you 3 years, $60 million and keep you on the cheap. That wasn't going to happen. Maybe they offered it, but he said no. Clearly he wanted the money. Clearly he wanted $4.96. That's what he was going to get in Indiana.
But when you look
He
at a
wanted
guy
a
like
max
that,
contract.
his injury history, right? This is probably his last big contract, I would assume. So,
Oh yeah.
Celtics probably max. We're going to go 20 million per. So, obviously, he's not going to take that, and he's going to either take the money and run and go home, and he's going to get like 25 million a pop, or someone's going to come in like the Knicks or Charlotte. Who, let's not forget, Charlotte has been in on Hayward since 2014 and also 2017. He had a visit there. So we knew this was a possibility all along, right? The teams were, as usual, Miami, Charlotte, and Indiana. When you mentioned Hayward, those are the 3 teams. So obviously he went to Charlotte, and that's it. So we'll see what Danny Ainge does here now. He obviously signed the 2 guys last night, presumably. Now, I don't know if anything's official yet. I haven't seen the team actually say it because they're probably waiting on some other maneuvers here. But
yeah, there's tons
either
of
way,
maneuvering.
You have a bunch of young guys now, right, that are probably not going to give you much. Maybe Neesmith gives you a little bit of shooting off the bench. You have Tristan Thompson, and you lose Gordon Hayward, and you get Jeff Teague. I don't know. And Brad Wanamaker's gone. He's going to Golden State, so now he can win a title. Good for him. He was for all my gripes with Brad Wanamaker, he was a pretty good Celtic when he was here, and he could really chip in for that Golden State team. So you're losing a bunch of guys here, and Paul Millsap wants to stay in Denver. Now it's Tristan Thompson, Jeff Teague. You lose Hayward, you lose Wanamaker, you lose all these guys, and you just made a bunch of more picks. So now you have all these young guys that are going to give you nothing. So the fans that want to say, and even the people that want to say, the Celtics would have been way better off last year if Romeo Langford didn't get hurt. Let's just be real. Romeo Langford is not going to give you anything. He'll give you very little off the bench. This team is no better than last year, and if anything, they might be a little worse.
Those guys are going to make incremental improvements. You can't expect Romeo Langford to be an all-star. You have to say you have to be realistic in expectations. Like, is he going to contribute towards the team? Yeah, he's going to get minutes. Is he going to elevate and be a next level guy? I don't think Romeo Langford is going to wind up. You're not going to look at him and say like, "Wow, yep, he was a lottery pick." I think Marcus Smart has turned into that. It didn't seem like it at first. Like, this guy really just plays defense. He's a great player, great glue guy, but is he a lottery pick? Is he deserving of where he got picked? I think Marcus Smart has kind of lived up to where he was drafted. I don't think Romeo mid first round pick. I think he's gonna be a role player at best, right? But here's the bigger point, and what you're talking about too, the future of the team. Immediately for this year, their cap situation is garbage. No TPE. They used basically what money they had to throw around on Tristan Thompson. And so now you're in a situation where hopefully, I'm surprised, why isn't Jason Tatum's... Maybe it's because they're hoping for some more maneuvers to come here, and once those things are finalized, they'll be able to they'll wait to sign Tatum, even though they don't have to happen together. They're completely independent. One can happen without the other. Maybe that's why we're waiting on the Tatum news. Matt Murphy brought this up last week about Gordon Hayward leaving Utah. When he signed that offer sheet in 2014 and the Jazz matched it, they should have spent the next 3 years saying, if we want to keep this guy, which they did, we got to do more to appease him. Instead, they basically in 2017 made him go all over the country again on free agency and then come back to them and say, "Hey, what'd you get?" And then decide if they wanted to match it, or, "Oh, well, we'll do all these things for you." It's like, "No, you should have been doing those things the last 3 years to convince me to stay, not at the last second." That's what the Bucks are trying to do with Giannis now at the last second, and they're screwing that up. The Celtics need to be doing that now with Jason Tatum. How does this situation, if you're Tatum, I mean, sure, if they throw the 5-year max extension at you and you take it and he takes it, great. Then we don't have to worry about it. I just wonder how you view if Tatum. I'd be concerned if Tatum takes the 5-year max extension, then we're golden. They'll be able to keep him, build with him, yada yada yada. If he only takes the 4-year extension with the opt out at the end, oh boy. Watch out for 2023 because the dark times are coming because that's when Tatum will opt out and leave.
I mean, what have the Celtics done to kind of say, "Hey, Jason, we're building around you, and we want to win a championship"? What have they done to exactly? So
because he wasn't the guy. They took what was gonna be. Think about this. Hayward signs in 2017. Your big three was Isaiah Thomas, Al Horford, Gordon Hayward. That was it. That was your big three. That changed quick. Isaiah out, Kyrie in, Hayward hurt, Kyrie hurt, Tatum, Brown ascend, and you've kind of had this weird mishmash team of like trying to like keep that ship straight. Now they're taking basically Hayward wasn't a part of the playoff run last year. So until the end, but they got to an Eastern Conference final without him. You're taking now Kemba, Brown, Smart, Tatum. That's like your kind of big four. That's like your core. And you're saying we're adding to this and moving forward. That's your core. And it's not really the first, and I don't think so either. But I'm just saying that's their group that for the first time they're going to basically be running back with. And they were doing a good job. We all thought that Hayward was going to be gone. I think the Celtics did a great job in the draft with who they got to fill needs, right? And knowing they were going to get a big, now it wound up being Tristan Thompson, but knowing that they were going to get a big in free agency, they didn't go after one in the draft. They wanted to sign a guy. I feel like if you would just, even if all you got back was picks and a TPE, you would have been in a great spot without Hayward. Nobody expected Hayward to be on the Celtics this year.
No. That's not why I'm at. That's not even why I have, an issue with it. Right? I fully expected, we've been saying for a few weeks now, Hayward's probably gone. It's kind of like a foregone conclusion at that point. And the reason I'm annoyed is because there was an opportunity to get something in return for a player who can give you 15 to 17 points a night. And what do? You turn that into Jeff Teague, Tristan Thompson when there's other players flying off the board? It just seems not good enough. I mean, Hayward, look, for all everybody's gripes, he had some tough times here with injuries. If he's not injured, he's giving you 15 to 20 a night. People don't realize that. They just forget because, he's overpaid, he's injured, he's never on the floor, he's not good. Well, he's a 20-point guy a night if he's healthy and he's on the floor. Unfortunately, he had some really bad luck with the Celtics, but before that with the Jazz, he was kind of the guy there. So now he's going to Charlotte and he's going to be the guy again. But even so, like Celtics fans knew this was a possibility. And the most likely outcome of this whole situation was Hayward's moving on, whether that's Indiana, LA, whether he's getting traded to Golden, it doesn't matter. He's gone and you have to recoup some of the loss there. And hopefully you get something in return, maybe a young guy in Miles Turner. Maybe, people were saying all, the last few weeks, what can you get back for him if you're trading with Indiana? And it was Miles Turner that was the guy. But obviously the Celtics don't like the player because, he was out there for how long now? But I'll say is I just like they had an opportunity to get something for the player and they couldn't do it. Now, presumably there's no sign and trade coming. If there is one, then, we can go from there. But it's just the reason I'm not totally there yet is because there is room for that. But also, like, I knew Hayward was gone. but you could have gotten something back for him, something of value.
So this I got a text here from Matt Murphy, our NBA draft and cap analyst, who joined us on the show last week. Did tons. We have to thank him again. A lot of the stuff he said, and we're gonna get into the draft here quickly. We'll break down the first round of the draft. A lot of the stuff he said came to fruition, which was really cool to see. And hey, it means that we got the right guy. We got the guy. He texted me, deals start becoming official at noon today. So we'll see if Danny can get that TPE or just lose my sweet prince for nothing. Big Hayward guy, Matt Murphy. So yeah, I mean, that'll start happening live during the show. These deals will start becoming official. Like I said, Danny's going to go from being like, I have all the power to like basically groveling at Michael Jordan to take, which, and here's why I think they didn't think that the Charlotte Hornets would do this. They had to waive and extend Nick Batum. Basically, by waiving Batum to create that cap space and what they offered Hayward, they're basically paying $39 million for Gordon Hayward this year.
Yep.
After a year after they didn't want to pay Kemba Walker, they're paying Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier almost $50 million. What?
Yeah.
That team, I'll tell you this, right?
It's Charlotte though.
And this is where we can. If you have Celtics questions and you want to ask us questions, send them to the show. You can comment on the live stream. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. Send us comments through there throughout the show, or email the360sportshow@gmail.com at any point, and we'll either get to them this week or next week. I'm sure the Celtic conversation is going to go on for a long time, so we need to move along to the other teams. But if you have questions, send them our way. The Hornets, what are they doing? Like, I get, like, if Jordan just wants to make a splash, maybe he wants to screw up Danny Ainge for getting Kemba away from him last year, even though they didn't want to pay him to begin with. Like, what is that team doing? I felt like they did well at the draft. You got LaMelo Ball. You kind of have some good young pieces. You're trying to build something. Keep your cap flexibility. Maybe you talk Giannis out of Milwaukee next year.
No.
I'm just saying. That's what all these teams usually do, right?
Yeah, Charlotte.
Let's
be realistic with Charlotte.
I'm not telling you that would happen. But I'm
Yeah.
saying, what is Jordan thinking of all of a sudden
Making a splash. That's what he's doing.
to do what? You were gonna put butts in seats if you're
They
even
might-
able
they
to
might
put
sneak
butts
into
in
the
seats.
playoffs now.
I think you could have snuck into the playoffs just by drafting LaMelo Ball if he tracks.
You like the young guys though. I don't. Like you think every team has this great young core. Like if they could use Hayward, Hayward's going to be the option there.
You don't think they could? You don't think they
and
could be an
LaMelo.
8 seed? You don't think they could be an 8
No,
seed
no. With just LaMelo Ball.
with the rest of that team? Forget.
Let's not go nuts with LaMelo Ball now.
All right, hold on. We're gonna look up. I need to look up where they finished in the standings last year, because I'm pretty sure. Let's see, the Charlotte
They were
Hornets.
right behind.
They were right
behind 10
they were-
games, 2 games in the loss column. But
Yeah, I mean, so obviously the season gets shortened up. They end up being 6 games back out of the 8 seed. I don't know. I just feel like I don't get what's the direction of the team now. So what? It's the same logic I said. I don't see the Knicks doing a deal for Gordon Hayward for a ton of money, because yes, they could turn around and do a sign and trading, or just they could trade assets and get Westbrook, and now you have Westbrook, Hayward, Obi Toppin, who they drafted, and whatever other crap garbage is left on the team. But now you're the oldest team in the league, maybe, possibly. You have no cap, no draft picks. So what? You're going to try and win now in the next 2 or 3 years in the East, which is stacked? Why would the Knicks or the Hornets want to do that? Maybe the Hawks. The Hawks kind of have an interesting amount of talent now. But they're not going to the finals. And yes, if you're a team that just wants to put butts in the seats when things get back to normal, I get it. That contract, it's not going to work out for the Hornets. Good for them. Good for Hayward. He's going to make money.
I didn't say it was going to work.
That team is not going to work, man.
I didn't say it was going to work. I just said that MJ wanted to splash and, maybe put a few more guys in the seats. I mean, they were interested in Hayward. Don't forget, they were interested in Hayward.
In 2014, yeah.
2014 and 17. So
him and Kemba wanted to play together.
Yeah, they wanted the player, so they went and got him, and maybe the eighth seed in the playoffs or something contend. But at the end of the day, Charlotte's like a revolving door, in my opinion. If you get a number one pick there, he's going to leave in 4 years anyway. So it's like, I don't know. I think the contract is like a little bit absurd in like what he could have gotten. But hey, it's Charlotte. That's what I tell.
Yeah. So anyway, let's hop into the NBA draft quick, and
Oh
we'll
yeah, let's.
we'll run through this. And there were a couple of surprises. So we'll kind of just do this quick. We'll go pick by pick and give our quick take. Timberwolves take Anthony Edwards. No surprise. I mean, there was no consensus number one pick, but he had been talked about as the number one guy for a while. That top three, him, Wiseman, Ball, kind of that top three. Some people thought that Killian Hayes was the guy. He ended up going way later, but safe pick, I'd say. Only thing I worry about, Matt Murphy brought this up to us earlier, like the day before the draft. He gave some interview where he basically talked about how I don't love basketball. If I could play football, I would. It's like, yeah. I'd be leery now about that guy going to a place like Minnesota, which could suck. And is he going to be pushed and motivated to be the best he can be when he really doesn't love basketball? And if he's not in like a win now team, I don't know. But hey, he's a solid pick.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to bust out. Is he like the number one pick of number one picks? No, but in this year's draft, if you have the number one pick, you weren't going to be able to move back. There was no great guy that anybody would have wanted. So you stay put. If you're Minnesota, you take him. Good, not great. So.
You want my thoughts on that?
Do you have any thoughts? No thoughts?
I mean, I just kind of agree with you. Like, there was no consensus number one, right? I mean, it's just the bust of this draft. I mean, as we spoke on last week, is supposed to be Wiseman, maybe I would think, but then there was no number one that everybody was going to be taking. So I think he'll be a solid player. And I mean, Minnesota's not terrible, right? They have D'Lo and Karl Anthony Towns, so he could fit right in there and start. I'm not sure, but that team I don't think is going to be at the top of the West or anything because of the first round pick. So
yeah. Golden State Warriors end up staying put at number 2. There was talk about them moving down, moving around, trading the pick, all these crazy trades you talked about. Do they package for Giannis? Do they make a move for Embiid? Well, all of their plans kind of went out the window because like an hour before the draft, Klay Thompson blows out his Achilles.
Yeah.
Oh,
unfortunate.
Brutal for that guy. I feel so bad for him because he's trying to come back from injury. Think about this, Christian. When the next season starts, right? 2021-22, hopefully, if it starts in October or November, whenever, it could be anywhere between 860 and 900 days from the last time Klay Thompson played a game.
Rough. Yeah.
And at what point, what is he going to be by then?
I know.
Achilles injury, knee injury for a guy that's a jump shooter. Really tough. The Warriors went from being like they were gonna make all these moves and like you said, quit the NBA, just forget about it. It's over. If they make some of these moves to, wow, I don't know. And I think it threw them into scramble mode. I think they were ready to maybe take, and it made me think, do they take LaMelo Ball now? To go young and just say, hey, Curry, Thompson, you guys have injury histories now. You're both 30, north of 30. Should we just invest in the next young guard and kind of keep it rolling? They invested kind of more in the present, and they draft James Wiseman, who I think is a really great fit for them. Like we said, he only played 2 games, but physically, he's a specimen, and he will fill a need for them as a rim-running, rim-protecting big who can develop some offense. Basically give them he'll give them a more dynamic and athletic version of what Andrew Bogut was on their first championship team.
Right.
So good pick for them. And I guess, they're opting to invest more in the present than long term. But I don't think it's not gonna be a bad pick for them. So really good for the Warriors. Oh, dude, but just feel so bad for Klay Thompson. That's just absolutely brutal.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, 2 back-to-back, pretty bad injuries here. So we'll get a little timetable on him in terms of what he could be. I assume he would be back next season or somewhere around there at the start of the season. But Kevin Durant is going to be a good test to see what a player that can do with the Achilles injury there, because he had some troubles there for a long time now too. And Thompson's, your straight up jump shooter, so it's gonna be interesting, but it's really tough luck for him. And I see some cynical fans saying like, "Oh, now the Warriors are gonna suck, haha," but like you don't want to happen that way. Like that's
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
yeah,
So next, we already said it, the Hornets take LaMelo Ball. We'll see what LaMelo becomes. I feel like offensively, he's a little better than Lonzo. Defensively, he's way worse than Lonzo. He's young. If he can fill out and get stronger, I feel like he's not gonna be a bust, but I don't what he could be is like kind of so varied. But hey, probably the best player left after those first two guys go. If you weren't gonna have a shot at Wiseman or Edwards, so it's not a reach. I think it's a good pick. We'll see how LeVar gels with Jordan.
yeah, that'll be an interesting one. I don't know. I think LeVar needs to stay away.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Jordan offers him a one-on-one game. Like, all right, we're gonna play one-on-one. If you can score a point, I'll let you hang around. If you can't score a
I'd
point,
take that.
get out. Never come near this facility. And Jordan would take that personally. Chicago Bulls kind of make the first kind of like, oh, okay. Pick of the night. Patrick Williams. Florida State guy. Kind of a 3-and-D guy. He's not a great shooter. He really wasn't even the best 3-and-D guy in the draft available at that point, but they must have really liked him. There was talk of them trading up. The Bulls trying to trade up, maybe with the Warriors. So, like, were they going to trade up to 2 to get Wiseman? Or were they going to get Patrick Williams at 2? Do they think he was going to go?
Yeah.
Did they just not know what to do? And they were like, well, we don't really want to take Okoro or Okongwu or Hayes. So, I guess we'll just do what we think is a safe pick. I don't know.
You talk about a team that has no plan. How about the Bulls? My God.
Yeah, so
I don't know what they're doing down there. Didn't they lose Chris Dunn too? Am I wrong on that? Chris Dunn went elsewhere. Yeah, he went to the Hawks.
Yeah. So
that's a former what, top 10 was he?
Yeah.
So it's I don't know what the hell are they doing. They got Markkanen, who's injury prone, and then they drafted Patrick Williams. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they're just trying to hit. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing over there.
Yeah. So team without a plan, Chicago Bulls. Next, the Cavs. They take Isaac Okoro. Again, solid pick at this point. This is kind of that order of the draft where, you could have picked any of 6 guys and it would have been a good pick. You weren't really going to fail with any of the guys that were available. Okoro is gonna be good. He's a prospect. More of a defender right now, and hey, we'll see. Again, Cavs. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what they're trying to do. They just got some young guys. They're throwing it together. I think they're going to try and just be a young team. Hopefully, in a couple of years, they're scrapping for the 7, 6 seed. I don't see them getting any free agents. They need, honestly, they're not going to be relevant again until they totally suck and can get the next LeBron James.
Yeah.
That's it. So, for them, good. At best, they'll someday get like a Brad Stevens coach, and they'll assemble young talent, and they'll be a 6 seed perennially. So, for now, good pick.
Doesn't mean much.
Doesn't mean much. Atlanta Hawks, they get Onyeka Okongwu. Really, really, really great center. We all liked him last week in our conversation. He was definitely a top 10 player. Some people had him as high as 3 in some mock drafts. However, really, really, really weird pick for them. Obi Toppin was still available. I thought he would have fit better with what the Hawks were trying to do and assemble. Now they got 3 centers. I mean,
they got to move on from one.
They got
guys,
Capella. They got Collins. Now they got Okongwu. So obviously you're keeping Okongwu. Do you move Capella? But they really like Capella, and that contract is huge.
I thought Collins is probably the guy. He's a good player, but I think he's probably the guy that.
So it's a weird pick, but yeah, the Hawks definitely need to make some other moves.
I think the Hawks could, not based on this pick, but just on some of the other moves they made, they could sneak into maybe the 8th slot in the East.
Oh yeah,
they're kind of on the up and up here with, obviously Trae. Trae Young is a stud right now. And then you can you fill in around him and put other guys around him. I think that team could actually they're going to be the scrappy, hardworking team that can sneak up on you and win a couple games. I mean, they only won 20 games, but I feel like every time I watched them, they were in the game at the end. So I don't know.
Yeah. Next, the Detroit Pistons take Killian Hayes. So the first European player, I believe, taken off the board. So he's a prospect. Some people had him as the number one player. Other people had him like down in the 20s. Some people had him mid draft. Detroit, again, kind of one of these teams. I don't really know what their plan is. They're just trying to, it's like what Matt Murphy said last week. There's some teams that they're not trying to win championships. They're just trying to put a quality product on the floor and make money. Pistons are kind of one of those teams. I think, they're hoping to have fans. And, this is a guy that, you're hoping that can develop into somebody. Doesn't really fit, I think, what the Pistons have with their roster. But again,
who does?
Who does? It's true. So, again, it's like good player. I like the prospect. Don't know how he fits on the team, but
Yeah, this is like this entire draft was basically a good pick, but why is he on this team? The Pistons are another team that I have no idea when they're going to be relevant again. They are far from it. They're scrappy, and sometimes they're close in games. But overall,
not in today's NBA. I don't see it. Think about the 04 Pistons, right? That's kind of held up as the team that didn't have a true superstar that won a title. And that time frame, 04, 06, 7, 8, was kind of the last period where that type of team honestly won.
Existed, yeah.
And those teams,
existed and won.
I mean, those now, you have to assemble these super teams. And the Raptors are like the last 2 years ago are like the closest thing you'll ever get to that again. But they had Kawhi.
Yeah.
They had a good group of talent. For whatever you think of Kyle Lowry, I think he's a star. I don't think he's a superstar. Kawhi's a superstar. It takes a superstar. I don't know if Detroit, they're going to have to build. And then again, you hope. That's what all these teams are doing. They're hoping. Next, the New York Knicks. They take my guy, Obi Toppin. Who I've said, if Obi went to a team that was going to be one of these progressive teams that was going to, play him at the 4 or the 5, modern NBA, modern system, and be in a good place to succeed, he could be an all-star.
The Knicks isn't it for you?
The Knicks is not it at all. Come on. One, they already, he's going to get squeezed into being a small forward there, which is not going to suit his skill set. Tibbs is going to want him to play defense, which, if Tibbs works with the guy, his defense will improve. That was his one knock.
I think it's a good fit, actually.
Or Tibbs is going to run him into the ground.
Maybe.
He's going to bench the guy because he doesn't play good enough defense right off the bat. I don't know. I don't know how. Again, I love the player. I don't know if he'll actually fit with the Knicks. I think, but again, hey, if you get butts and seats, the Obi Toppin show is worth the price of admission. So it all depends on how he's used, how they handle him. I love the player. And I think the Knicks are kind of desperate for something, exciting. So I guess in lieu of swinging and getting Russell Westbrook and Gordon Hayward, you have Obi Toppin here, but they still need to make some other moves with that roster because that roster is a mess.
But you're building blocks on that team now are RJ Barrett and Obi Toppin. So
yeah.
You have some young guys there, but the rest of the roster...
Does Tom Thibodeau have it in him to play small, though? I don't know if he does.
I think he's going to have to be honest with you. I don't know if he has it in him, but I think he's going to be forced to. So one way or another, they'll get there. If Toppin's not playing the 4 or the 5, something's not right.
Yeah. Wizards take Denny Avdiva from Israel. at this point, the Wizards are kind of one of those other teams. They're looking at moving like John Wall, straight up swapping Wall for Westbrook, which is like
Well, Wall wants out.
the
So
most even trade ever. Based like their contracts are only like $10,000 different. Like it's insane. I don't know what the Wizards are trying to do. They got into the bubble last. They're the only team that like finished like that. So the Charlotte Hornets, right, who we brought up earlier, if you look at the standings, are the 9 seed. They did not go to the bubble. They were not invited. They finished with a better seeding position by not playing any games. The Wizards went to the bubble and completely crapped on themselves. Like they didn't want to be there. So I guess, they signed Bertans back for a massive deal. Again, they're one of these teams that's just trying to build and I guess hope. They are not a top team in the Eastern Conference as currently constructed. So this is another, you get a prospect guy.
It should be better than they are,
same
though.
Thing. Yeah, but I think that's assuming John Wall being. I think if John Wall was healthy, you would expect more out of them. But yeah, it's a big ask at this point. So
yeah, I just think I'm a huge Bradley Beal guy. Like I think I wish he was on a better team because I think the guy's he's obviously an all-star, but I think he's just an absolute stud in terms of shooting, and he could really help a team.
That's the type of we talked about the Bucks trying to make moves. They went after Drew Holiday, who they gave up a mountain of gold for, and then they tried to go after Bogdanovich. It's like, okay, those are 2 solid pieces. How much better does that make you? They need to add like stars, not good role players. Drew Holiday, star-ish, right?
That's a good pickup.
He's a good pickup for them, but not what you gave up. I thought Bradley Beal would have been a better fit. That's a guy who's like, okay, borderline star, superstar to pair with what you had in Giannis.
I don't know.
I think rest of that roster.
I think the price was a little bit hefty on Holiday, but Holiday helps them. I think they're better now because I think Eric Bledsoe is a pud. I think he is
sure, but is Drew Holiday
Drew Bledsoe? Drew Bledsoe is pretty bad, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Bledsoe, and I think with Holiday, who he's obviously a defensive upgrade, and actually both ends, I think he's just an upgrade. And then you have Middleton, which is he is who he is. He's a streaky shooter, and then Giannis. I do agree that they needed something else, but
nothing else changes for them at the end of games. Nothing else changes for them at the end of games. Giannis still can't shoot. Shoot. Giannis still doesn't have another option. Middleton maybe, but they've had Middleton and haven't won. They needed another guy who was going to be like a guy that you could say, "Hey, this guy's a legitimate threat." I don't think you're drawing up plays for Drew Holiday at the end of games.
No,
instead of Giannis. If you had Bradley Beal, that's
sure,
legitimate.
Yeah. I think if you have Bogdanovich with Holiday, though, if that actually didn't, become the cluster that it did, and you add that guy,
it up so bad.
They did.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at Holiday, Bogdanovich, Middleton, Giannis. That's pretty good. Along maybe Lopez in there. So that's definitely an upgrade. Now without, Bogdan in there, I don't know. You screwed that one up royally, but yeah.
This just in, free agent Harry Giles has agreed to a 1-year deal with the Portland Trailblazers. That's from Woj. So that's the guy that was a Tatum friend.
Yep, that was our guy.
We're looking at. So he's off the board. We can fire through here. I mean, I don't know if there's any real. There really weren't many surprises left in the draft. I was kind of surprised that Tyrese Halliburton fell as far as he did. Yes. He was a guy that was like projected maybe top 3.
Same with Devin Vassell too.
Yeah, Vassell goes to the Spurs.
Good pickup for them.
Great pickup for them. But Halliburton falling to the Kings, I'm really surprised by. I thought for a minute, I was like, wow, is Tyrese Halliburton going to fall to the Celtics? Like, that would be insane. No. But they end up making the Celtics. The Pelicans pick up Kira Lewis Jr. Again, at this point, this is what we were saying. This is what Matt Murphy said last week, too. You're going to get a lot of really good, solid players. Nobody will make an all-star team, but they will be great pieces on teams. And that's what teams started getting. So Lewis, great on the Pelicans. Aaron Nesmith, he was my guy. I was like, if the Celtics pass All we've said for years is they just need a shooter on the bench, a guy that is a legitimate marksman threat. They tried to draft it with R.J. Hunter a couple years ago, and that didn't. But this he was not graded nearly to the same degree that Neesmith was. The best shooter in the draft. I said, please, if you pass on this guy after what we saw happen to them last year, where like woefully bad from three, just needing one guy to just be a sniper. If you pass on that guy, I was gonna be apoplectic, but they didn't. And right now, Danny Ainge said it too. He's the best 3-point shooter on the team. He is the best 3-point shooter on that team. Now,
will Brad Stevens play him? I don't know.
Oh yes, come on.
He will. He loves his boobies down there, and Carson Edwards and these guys to come off the bench.
No.
Light up Semi and
they played Carson Edwards for the first 8 games last year because he lit it up in summer league, and they said, hey, this is going to be our guy. This is going to be our spark plug off the bench. Guess what? He wasn't ready, and they immediately shipped him to Maine, and you basically didn't see him again in any significant action the rest of the year. So
yeah,
we're gonna see Neesmith at the beginning of the season. They invested in him.
We better.
You're gonna see him out of the gates.
If they picked another guy to stash in Maine or sit on the bench and not play, I'm gonna just become a Golden State fan.
Cole Anthony goes to the Orlando Magic. Good pickup for them. I was stunned to see Spike Lee in the frame with Cole Anthony on draft night. That's Spike. It just kind of seems like he's one of those guys who's just hanging on to, now it's the sons of other famous Knick players. He's just gotta be there, gotta be relevant. Pistons get Isaiah Stewart. Again,
we can just fast forward to the next Celtics.
I don't get it. Thunder. The Thunder getting Poku. The player who's the biggest prospect in this draft, the biggest unknown, but the biggest, he could be the best player. We were all glad he got taken off the board so he wasn't in play for the Celtics at 26. Which was good. Now, if it turns out that he becomes Giannis, we all have to eat crow, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so.
I don't think. We all said that but what if he becomes Giannis? And then we all kind of looked at each other watching the draft and we're like, dude, he's not becoming Giannis. The rest of these picks, the Heat getting Precious Achua. Playing him next to Bam is going to be interesting. So that again, that was a guy that maybe could have fallen to the Celtics. The rest of this, Leandro Balmero is a guy we mentioned last week from Argentina as a prospect guy, draft and stash guy. He goes to the Timberwolves. The Nuggets get R.J. Hampton, a guy I thought the Celtics might be interested in as a kind of a backup guard, combo guard, a guy you develop maybe if Kemba gets traded next year or something like that, or gets hurt, banged up, backup guy. Celtics, though, at 26, end up taking Peyton Pritchard out of Oregon. And kind of like Matt Murphy said last week, we're going to keep coming back. Matt Murphy was spot on with these predictions. If you don't package to move up and get a top 5 guy, take your swing at 14, which they did with Neesmith, and then draft seniors and juniors and guys who are just ready. Same with like you did last year, and just plug in NBA-ready guys along your bench. Pritchard, a lot of intangibles, little undersized, but again, one of the best shooters in the draft, limitless range. I really like him. Some of the draft graders don't like him based off of some of the other players that were available at that point. I just think he's a guy that he's your third point guard now behind Jeff Teague. You roll him out in case of emergency. If Kemba gets hurt and Teague has to step in to be your starting point guard, this guy's your backup. Maybe he gets like 3 or 4 minutes a game this year, and he's a great option to have at the end of your bench. Instead of Brad Wanamaker coming in, who could shoot threes but wasn't a creative offensive player. Now you have Peyton Pritchard, who's just who's sitting there, who could potentially do something. I like it. I don't know how you feel about the pick. I like it.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for me. I don't like. We've seen how useful these picks are, from like 12 back for the Celtics, and they are assembling one of the greatest teams we've ever seen in Maine. But that does nothing for the NBA roster. So we'll see. Once again, he's number 3,
He
and
will
he
be.
probably will never see the light of day.
He will be. He will see the light of day. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
I wouldn't describe him as a great guy to have on your bench. That's what I'll say.
As the third point guard, you know who the third point guard was this year? Tremont Waters, who was in Maine all year. Come on.
Yeah. So now you have Waters, you have Edwards, you have Pritchard. You have. Are you ever
Water-
going to get rid of some of these guys?
Waters is going to be on that two-way deal and going back and forth to Maine. He's
Okay,
not
again.
on your roster.
But again, why did you take the pick if he's not going to give you anything? This team is up and coming here in the next 2 years to win games, not sit on the bench or go up to Maine.
I mean, what else was left? The only other player who ended up getting taken, where is he? He ended up getting taken. Xavier Tillman was the guy we liked, a passing big man. Was a guy that they liked. But again, now knowing what we know now, based off of who the Celtics went after in free agency, Tristan Thompson, they wanted Millsap. I think they weren't going to draft a guy to fill a role that they were planning on addressing in free agency. I think, and they didn't maybe know they were going to get Jeff Teague either. So they were drafting a guy who, if they didn't get Teague, this is your backup point guard. So, you say it like, oh, well, he's just going to be in Maine. Now he might be playing some in Maine. But when they made that pick, he immediately became the backup point guard.
This team needs players to play now, not bench guys.
Think,
they don't need more of these young bench guys that are not going to play for the next 3 years.
Well,
like,
at 26 and 30, you're getting bench guys. You're not finding, unless you strike gold, you're not finding a starter at 26 or 30. Right?
Yeah. I mean, sure.
I mean,
but
who else would you have wanted them to pick there? Who was your pick? Who did you want at 26?
I don't want any more picks. Yeah, I literally want no picks. They should just not make any picks because none of them are useful. Maybe Neesmith will be something, but I don't think Pritchard is this, going to be this amazing bench guy all of a sudden that the Celtics have never had. They draft the same guy every year. They literally draft the same guy every year.
I think he's miles better than Tremont Waters. But what this does now, though, it kind of extinguishes the hopes that they bring IT back, because they've kind of filled out their point guard slots, which is kind of a shame, because they needed to. I believe there might be a curse at play here, Christian. The curse of IT. Until they bring Isaiah Thomas, they have to bring him back while they can, or it's going to last 86 years.
I think it's the curse of not getting players. Because now you're left with what? You're maybe the sixth team in the East, fifth team in the East?
I'd say right now, Milwaukee. We'll see what Brooklyn does. I think you're better than Toronto. The Heat, are the Heat going to be? I mean, the Heat were a 5 seed last year, and I think they benefited. I think they benefited from the bubble. They are better. I think you're the third or fifth team right now, but I don't think it's this like cavern between you. I think the Bucks are the number 1 team because of Giannis. Drop down in 2 through 5, maybe 6, depending on the Sixers, are all kind of the same. Really?
Yeah. I mean, all I'm saying is they better hope Jason Tatum stays here for a long time, because if not, this team is going to be the bottom of the barrel pretty soon. I'm not even kidding. Like, they could be out of the playoffs within the next 3 years and clear out of the playoffs without Tatum on this team. They're putting all their eggs in the Tatum basket, and hopefully he can draw some other guys here maybe. But right now, they on paper, if he's got to ascend to another level again this year, and hopefully he does. But man, if he's like, what the hell are we doing here? And he just leaves, this team's going to be bad for a while.
I'm looking at seeing if there's any news on a potential sign and trade, but it does not. as of this moment, there is still no sign and trade in the works between the Celtics and the Charlotte Hornets. Again, if that happens, that's huge. If that happens, and I'm with you, Danny, stop holding on to the picks. At this point, you should be lucky to be able to throw picks at Michael Jordan and get a $30 million trade exception and have all the flexibility back. You'd be very lucky. Count your blessings. Be thankful.
Do you think
for that?
Now, granted, the bubble changed things, but do you think Davis Bertans could have helped the Celtics last year?
Yeah, but yes and no, because I don't know if what ended up really plaguing the Celtics, if it would have changed. Like, the reason they weren't in the finals, I think he would have helped them. They would have been better, right? But I don't think that would have at all helped what plagued them mentally, which was that inability to close and focus in like early games, right? The inexperience factor. Like, I don't think Bertans all of a sudden makes them not blow leads in games 1 and 2 of the East Finals, right?
But right. Would you rather have Pritchard and let's just say you give up your
Bertans was going to be a rental. Bertans was going to be a rental.
Yeah. No, I'm fully aware of that.
You can't have expected for him to be around this year.
No, I'm fully aware of that. I'm saying, would you rather have made those 2 picks at the end of the round this year and maybe give up a second from 2027 because this is what we do, and have Bertans for the playoff run last year, or would you rather have these picks that they made this year?
I'd rather have these picks because I don't know. I think it's the same. I think you'd be in the exact same spot you are right now. I'd rather have players, these guys that at least you're going to have and work with for a couple of years. Bertans, I highly doubt, and we won't be able to know. This is all speculation. I don't think Bertans puts them over the top last year because I think they had the talent to win. They were better than that Heat team. They just crapped themselves in the first 2 games. Talent-wise, yes.
The Heat right now are a better team.
Right now, yes. Right now, they're better. But in that playoff series, come on now.
They were a better team in that playoff series.
Yes.
You went down the stretch. Jimmy Butler's far away better than anybody on this team right now.
Not because of talent, though. They were a better team because of the Heat were willing to work and scrap for a full 48 minutes. The Celtics got ahead by 13 in like the second quarter. Like, we're winning.
So
we're going to the finals.
Right, but they got rid of Kyrie to have a better team and composure, and then Marcus Smart's blowing up in the locker room, and team chemistry is like it doesn't mean crap in the NBA because ultimately you need talent. So how is that going to be fixed this year?
Bertans would have not put them over the top last year.
He might have helped.
It would not have
in a couple of those series. I don't think they, if he's coming off the bench and giving you something, they probably beat Toronto in more than 7 games.
Oh, come on. The only reason it went 7 games with Toronto is because of an absolutely miracle shot. They lost that game. They were a millisecond away from being up 3-0. Toronto would have caved. You win in 4 or 5, and guess what? Now you're onto the Heat. And I think that team was not going to beat that Heat team, not because they didn't have the talent to do so, but because something between the ears, they weren't ready.
I don't disagree,
but I don't think Bertans fixes that.
Okay, but so now we have a second-round pick in 2 years now, and Peyton Pritchard. So what does that mean? Maybe Bertans helps you last year to win a title, and I've yet to see Ainge really pull the trigger on some of these end of the draft picks in either the first or second round for a guy that could help you win a title.
Well, I'll agree with you on one thing, and this is a problem with Ainge, and we're going to move on to just some of the kind of trade things that happened. A couple of trades went down, and then we'll move on with the rest of our program. If you have any questions, you can email the 360sportshow at gmail.com. Also, as we're broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch, you can drop comments on the live stream for us, and we can get to those. Ainge seems to want the big fish, and then he gets cold feet. And I worry that at some point, you're right, you have to pull the trigger on some of these deals. And look at it. He lusts after guys. It was Kevin Love. Then it was Kevin Durant. Then it was Anthony Davis. I worry he's like thinking that in some weirdo universe that Giannis is going to get frustrated with how the situation went down with the Bogdanovich thing. He hasn't signed an extension. What if he doesn't sign that extension there and he decides to go to free agency? And Danny Ainge is going to delude himself into thinking he has a chance at getting Giannis, which they have, I'll say, a 1% chance. I'll give them 1% because at least Giannis is, I think, willing to go to another small market. Like, I think he'd be willing to go to, not that Miami's a small market, but Miami is not LA or New York, right?
No.
So I think if he goes to market, I think you'll get a sit down, right? You'll get the Kevin Durant treatment. You might get in. You might be able to have a 10-minute meeting with the guy. Giannis is not coming here.
I think it's a little different though. I'll be honest with you.
I worry that Giannis is just going to become the next guy that he's lusting after, and that he's never going to invest in the current team, which right now should be Kemba, Brown, and Tatum, and put stuff around that to win. I think he's just going to keep thinking he can keep kicking this can down the road and like chase the next big guy, and eventually you're just going to wind up holding a whole barrel of second-round picks. I'm with you.
Yeah.
This is the turning point. This season right here and what they can do is the beginning. This is it. The rebuild is over. This is your team that you're now building. This is it. It's done. You tanked for 1 year. You got the Brooklyn picks. This is it. This is your team.
Yeah, I mean it's Tatum's team. This is what you're rolling with, and Tatum is the guy, and you better hope he can get some guys here. One thing I'll say on Giannis is he's a little different cat than like a Durant type. From everything you hear, right, he could change his mind and say, "I just want to go to LA." But from everything you hear, it's teams that are, Golden State obviously will be in the mix, but it's Dallas, Miami, Milwaukee. He has the potential to stay there. Toronto, Boston. So it's not like he's trying to go to LA right off the bat. That's the only place he wants to go. Dallas, I think, would be the best fit for him personally.
They're clearing cap space. They're ready.
So, I don't think he's coming to Boston. But at the same time, it's just like Ainge is, he's going to vie for Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis, all these guys, and he's going to get none of them. And then, you went from Kyrie Irving, Hayward, Horford coming here to now you're left with what you drafted and the rest of your second round picks that will never be anything.
Yeah. So, if you have any other questions about the NBA draft or comments on the NBA draft or free agency, certainly send those our way. We're going to be discussing this stuff for the next couple of weeks. We got about a month till basketball starts, and there's going to be plenty that happens between now and then as well. Of note, of the trades that did go down. The Chris Paul trade, which was one of the underrated ones. Again, Matt Murphy called that last week. He said this is the kind of the under the radar trade no one's talking about. It was the first one to really go down on Monday. He goes to the Suns. I love the Phoenix Suns. They are my second favorite team right now. I like kind of having a Western Conference team that I can tune into, late after the East Coast games are done. The Suns are young. Chris Paul gives them that veteran presence, like Matt Murphy said last week. You saw what he did in OKC with just like a mishmash of talent. He's going to be really, really good for that team. And the Suns, are they winning a championship? I don't think so. They're a legitimate threat, though, in the West. I mean, come on. Like, I think now you look at
the Lakers.
The Lakers are winning the championship. The Clippers are going to fall apart.
Golden State,
but Golden State is going to be good, but the Nuggets will be good again. Houston's going to be terrible. Oklahoma City is not trying to win anything. The Jazz and Mavericks will be in the mix. Portland will be in the mix. The Phoenix Suns are going to be in the playoffs, right? I think they're going to be, and they'll be competitive with the rest of those second-tier teams. Lakers and Warriors, I think, are your 1A teams right now in the West. If the Warriors stay healthy. After that, again, 3 through 8, and Aussie 3 through 10. All those teams are pretty close. Pretty close. So
Clippers will be 3 probably.
I think the Clippers are going to become a giant dysfunctional mess. I just don't.
Not with the talent level. It's
Eh,
physically impossible for a team that talented to not win like 50 games. I don't know.
sure, but 50 games might put you as like the 6 or the 8 seed. You know, in that
Possibly,
conference.
yeah.
So, uh, I don't think they're better than the Warriors, or the Lakers. So they're in that second tier, which I think the Suns are right in. They're in the thick of that. Um, they could their ceiling for next year is Western Conference Finals and getting absolutely obliterated by the Warriors or the Lakers.
Well,
How
Jay
about
Crowder puts them over the top now. So they
that?
should be good to go. His like 17th team that he's played for.
um, so that Chris Paul trade, love it. OKC, how many draft picks do they have now in like the next 6 years? Like Sam
18,
Presti,
17,
how many? You're
20? I don't even
drowning.
know.
You're drowning in draft picks. I don't know what they're gonna do. You can't draft all those players. So eventually, some of those things are gonna have to get packaged and moved around. But absolutely absurd, the amount of draft picks
Yeah.
that they have. Al Horford, great for the Sixers to get rid of him. Man, what do you
Yeah.
think? What do you think Al's thinking? He could have come back and been on that Celtics team last year.
Just
That's a
didn't mock
guy.
him.
That's a guy that I think would have made a difference, right? And we said this: a big man, rebounding, shooting, a post presence. You could have actually given him the ball to settle down your offense when you instead of just having to rely on jump shots. He can play
Yeah.
in the post a little bit. Um, he could have come back for good money. I think he thought Philly's winning a championship. I'm going to Philly. Signs this big. I'm going to take the money, and he probably thought he was going to be on the better team. Instead, he's a little washed up. That team was terrible, and now you just got traded, and he probably will get traded again at some point.
I'm not convinced he's washed up yet. I see a lot of people saying that he's not any good at all anymore.
He is not
I'm
worth
not
that
totally.
contract. He is not worth that
No, I
contract.
mean, no, he's not. But it's the NBA, so is Gordon Hayward worth 4 and 120 this year? No.
No.
So I don't know. I think Al. To be honest, I don't even remember where.
Unless he gets waived by them, he's not. But like he wanted a ring. He chased the ring. He went to Philly to chase the ring. Unless he gets cut and can go to like the Warriors for pennies or the Lakers, he's not getting a ring. Like I wonder like what his thought. Like I wonder what. I like the guy.
I just think
I like the player. It's just now he's like.
I think on a team like I don't know the Clippers or even the Celtics, I think he could help. The Sixers, let's be honest, the Sixers were a mess regardless of Al Horford last year.
Do you take Al Horford back?
Not with that money, but yeah, I would.
Oh no, he would have to be cut. He would have to be waived, and he'd have to be on the street.
I would 100%. Yeah, I would. I think he could help your team. I really do.
Do you think Al Horford would want to come back for pennies?
After last year, hell yeah. I'd rather be anywhere. I mean, he's going to be in OKC, but I mean, if he gets waived or something, yeah, I would definitely think about it. I think he could even if he's not, I don't know, what are you looking at? Kemba, Jalen, Jason, maybe Al, and then Tristan Thompson. I think that's a pretty solid lineup if he were to come back. That's just
a little bit of breaking news here. Adrian Wojnarowski, Utah Jazz All-Star guard Donovan Mitchell has agreed to a full 5-year rookie max extension. So that's official now. $195 million to Donovan Mitchell. Tatum's the only guy left. Where is the Tatum news? Now, like you said, maybe they're waiting on a sign and trade. They don't have to. They could do it right now, and it won't impact them doing a sign and trade at all. With Hayward, but I don't know.
Yeah,
kind of curious.
Here's a little something else to throw a wrench in my Bogdanovich, wish. Sam Amick is reporting that he is getting an offer sheet from the Hawks. So long way to go with restricted free agents. Who the hell knows? But I don't think that's going to happen. So that leads me to believe there will be no sign trade. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm just trying to peruse too. Dude, how much have you the last like 3 days of just I had like a Twitter dream. I just was like seeing
I know
tweets.
The feed.
It's like, oh god. I just want and like the thing is like you wanted to step away. I turned it off, right? I wanted to go over to my parents' house yesterday afternoon. I said, all right, I'm gonna log out. I'm gonna go. I literally sit in my car. I'm about to turn the engine on. Bing, 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 bing. Gordon Hayward's going to the Hornets, and I literally sat in my car for 20 minutes
Yeah,
without
I
moving.
know.
It was like, oh god, now I have to sift through this
So
mess.
just quickly going back to what you just said. So now you have Darren Fox, right? He just signed his max extension, and now Donovan Mitchell. Was there anybody else from that class that should be getting a max? I don't think so. I think it's just Tatum, right?
I think there were some other guys eligible, but they weren't like gonna get. They weren't gonna get that max.
Yeah.
The big names were Fox, Tatum, and Mitchell.
So where's the third one here now, right? Like how is this not done? I get you have to process everything else maybe, and you're trying to work some deal so it's things are going hectic or something if you're Ainge, but why is this not done at like 6 o'clock on free agency day? I don't quite understand it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure it'll happen here in the
I th-
next
I
couple of
I
months.
understood it not happening immediately because I said, listen, their priority is to try and get this Hayward deal done, right? And then
Yeah.
any immediate things after that. You already have Tatum. Tatum's probably not in a hurry. He knows, hey, I'm gonna get paid.
Yeah,
He's
that's
not
true.
like there's no rush, right? Like it'll get done when it gets done. It's gonna get done. But it's kind of weird now. Everything else has happened. If you're the Celtics, this should have already been written out, drawn up,
Yeah.
and it's just like, hey, we're done now. This was the third thing on our list. Draft, possible Hayward deal, free agents. Okay, Tatum, now we're to you. Please just sign him the dotted line. We can announce this. It looks good for us.
This
Everybody's
will at
happy.
least soften the blow for me. If Tatum signs a 5-year max, super max extension, it will soften the blow of no sign and trade, no nothing. Because then you're really solidified here. Okay, Tatum for the next 4 or 5 years is the guy. Let's get real players around him, and then go ahead and see if we can win something.
The
But
other guy is Anthony Davis, who he
yeah, but
hasn't signed.
that's
But I mean, he's
yeah.
staying with the
He's
Lakers.
waiting
He's
on the Lakers. Yeah.
he's gonna get a boatload of cash, uh, from them. Da, 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 da. Oh, let's look at this. This is wow. Donovan Mitchell is gonna make up to 195
I
million
saw that. Yeah.
by meeting
Good for
if he
him.
meets the All
What was
NBA
he number?
criteria.
What was he in that draft? I don't even know, but good get for the Jazz on there.
Can't. I'm
Like
kidding.
Mitchell's turned into a star.
I don't recall. Last NBA trade note we want to get into is all the James Harden stuff. He wants out of Houston. The
Yeah.
Nets want him. Evidently, they have some sort of verbal agreement. The Rockets can be as patient as they want. I'm sorry, James.
Yeah.
You're under contract. So you either play or you don't play. You don't get to just decide where you want to go. And they have no incentive to trade him right now. There's no rush, right? Which I do think benefits a team like the Nets. The Nets
Yeah.
they want to put Kyrie, Durant, and Harden together. I think that's dumb. I don't
Pretty sure
think.
Kyrie is putting the kibosh on that.
And Kyrie's the one who's against it.
Yeah.
Which I think would be crazy because it could end up that it benefits the Nets. They'll get to see the Kyrie KD experiment with those young guys and decide, okay, we like Spencer Dinwiddie and with Kyrie, and maybe if Harden comes here too, you know what? We will trade Chris LeVert and Torian Prince and some of these other guys and
Yeah.
picks for Harden. The Rockets want either all the young guys and picks, or they'll take some of the young guys and Kyrie and picks. The Nets get to play it out. They get to dabble here and say, all right, fine. We'll reassess this at the trade deadline. We get to find out how well KD and Kyrie work together, and then assess at the trade deadline. I think by now a Harden deal isn't happening before the trade deadline, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think Houston's in any rush to get a deal done. They're not just going to screw themselves over in the process. So I would assume that, maybe a deadline deal, maybe even next year. Who the hell knows what they're going to do? But I mean, look, Harden's making a bunch of money. I think he is going to be fine with just playing for the money that he's getting. And they offered him 50 million or something stupid like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I would assume a deal gets done, but it's not like they're rushing just to get him out the door. So they're going to take the best deal that's available to them, whether that comes now or later in the season.
Yeah. So It's weird. The Rockets are in a weird spot. I mean, they're also, I think, in the news came out about Harden wanting out,
Yeah.
and now Westbrook wants out. Again, another guy, massive contract.
Hold up.
Where is he going to go? But hey, good for them. I mean, the Rockets have Danny Ainge. This is a situation where a team actually has control.
Yeah,
uh,
seriously.
so, whoops, not thank you for watching. Have a question. If you have questions, leave them in the comment section of the live streams. We also put the show out as a podcast through Sounder FM or your favorite podcast app later on this afternoon. And you can email the show at any time, the360sportshow@gmail.com. And we'll get to those in our mailbag segment. There's still going to be tons. The NBA news is not going to stop here for like the next week. So there's going to be plenty to pick over throughout the next week and in the coming weeks. And hey, what's great is the season's right around the corner too, which is I think the cool part, because normally the draft happens, free agency happens, and we get summer league, and then there's a long wait, and eventually we get preseason, and it's months before you even. The momentum here is incredible. This past week has been crazy for the NBA. And so if any more breaking news comes up throughout the show, we will certainly bring that to you. But we are going to move on. Before we get to the NFL, Christian.
We do a minute on Dwight Howard here.
Oh, sure. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, that whole mess. Go ahead. Yes.
He tweets out, "I love you, Laker Nation. Can't wait to be here for the next year. Let's run it back." He deletes it about 30 seconds later, and then Woj breaks that he's going to the Sixers. Someone explain that to me. He's coming home, and then he's going to Philly. I don't understand.
Evidently, there was like some miscommunication. He thought he got like, he read like something from his agent that said, "Hey, this is the deal the Lakers are offering," and somehow thought that that the deal was just done, as if he's not the one who has to sign off on it.
That's it. I'm going home. We're coming.
And so he was just like, okay, and tweeted that out. And then his agent was like, "Whoa, we didn't agree to that deal." Oh, and then all of a sudden the Sixers, just jump in and call him like, "Hey, want to come here for this?" Oh, okay. So many
reporters. Now today it's like, "Thank you, Lakers. We will always be champions." I'm just like, Jesus, I don't even know. Like he was with the Lakers. He re-signed, then he deleted, and he was with the Sixers, and now he's saying goodbye. What a guy this guy is, Dwight Howard. Oof. There's something amiss with Dwight Howard. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a kind of another under the radar, like, weird moment. Like, what is this? A whole bunch of reporters, like I think it was Mark Stein too, like he retweeted it and was like, "Dwight Howard, we're going back to LA." And then like a minute later, he's like, "What is happening?" Because he noticed that the tweet was deleted. And then a minute later, Woj is like, "He's going to Philly." Like, what? What happened?
It's the most Dwight Howard thing ever, though.
Yeah. So, I guess to round out the NBA discussion, Christian, in your mind, who's the best team in the East and who's the best team in the West? Who's going to be the finals next year? Pick it right now.
I mean, if I'm picking right now, obviously with the Klay Thompson news, unfortunately, I have to go Lakers far and away. They've gotten better. They got Montrezl Harrell. They got Schroeder. They're loading up once again. And in the East, tough to say, but I would say right now, I'm gonna go with Brooklyn just on paper.
Ooh,
Durant is there. I think Durant is top 3 players in the league when he's right. And I don't think even with Kyrie there, I think Durant's the number 1 option on that team, and I don't think he'll have the opportunity to ruin that team. So, what? Nets, Lakers.
I think I know why you're picking the Nets, and here's why. If the Nets make the finals and win the finals, you would love to be able to come on the air and say, "Danny Ainge loves to tout how he fleeced the Nets," and then the Nets win a championship before you do.
It definitely helps.
That take is right up your alley.
Yep. And it's coming. 2021, it's coming.
I like the Lakers again as well. The Montrezl Harrell signing is intriguing because he could have taken the cash and gone to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Instead, he gets the 1-and-1 deal from the Lakers, and he's going to play cheap this year, opt out, and then get the Tristan Thompson treatment and get a big contract from LeBron. LeBron, right now, one of the best GMs in the league.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, look at that.
He
Look
doesn't
at what the
always
Lakers are doing
he doesn't
again.
always like assemble. He kind of always gets his guys, but in terms of getting guys, if he wants you, he gets you.
Yeah, and they got Caldwell Pope back. That team's loading up again. I don't know.
So
Wesley Matthews, another 3-point shooter from Milwaukee there. So, and yeah, I mean they're loading up again. Danny Green is gone, so Ruder's on his way in. I think they just made a number of moves that make them even better. And Anthony Davis, presumably, unless he absolutely just like, hey, I'm going to Dallas, should be back on the Lakers.
yeah. All right. Before we get to the NFL, I want to remind everybody, in case you forgot, I forgot about this because this was the new type of news that came out during the pandemic when there was no sports and we were struggling for content. Mike Tyson's fighting this week, everybody.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. Woo! I cannot wait. I'll watch. I don't care. And if I can't find a friend who's going to stream to project out back, I will pay because I think this is fantastic. Talk about good theater. I mean, two old guys. I know it's for charity. It's just it's supposed to be fun. I think this is one of those things. It's like a scrimmage with Michael Jordan, right? He's taking it seriously. It's like in Rocky where they're telling Apollo Creed he doesn't know that this is just like for show. He thinks this is a fight. Like these two dudes aren't going in there to just be nice. I think they're actually going to want to try and pummel each other, and it's going to be
100%.
amazing.
I think Mike Tyson is ready to go. I'll be honest, my interest has not. It kind of got lost in this whole thing because of, like you mentioned, we didn't have much to talk about at the time when this was kind of like being put together. And now that everything's kind of, I don't want to say back fully, but we got NBA, NHL's going on. They're trying to get back. Same with the NFL now is back. So I kind of got lost, but now that it's actually happening, I'll be intrigued to see because I think Tyson is going to go ham. I just do. Yeah. Can that guy hold back? I don't think so.
I want to try and find the exact date and time.
I'm waiting for this. I know that what's going to happen at 1:00 is Tatum's
November 28th is the date of the fight. So that's when that'll be.
Hey,
we'll
see what happens, I guess.
Gonna be so good. So good. Can't wait. We'll break it down when it happens. Again, it's just one of those things. It's gonna be a hot mess and it's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we'll keep our eye out on the NBA stuff. Let's try and get to our NFL picks. Maybe we can run over a little bit with the show past that 1 p.m. deadline where we know some things will start trickling through. So let's get to the NFL. Let's get to picks. Christian, if you want to go ahead and pull up this week. What was Thursday? I'm trying to remember Thursday night. What was the matchup?
Eagles, Seahawks and Cardinals.
Seahawks, Cardinals, right. And that was in Seattle, correct?
Seattle won, yep.
Arizona at Seattle. And I think we both picked Arizona.
Unfortunate.
Cliff Kingsbury, now I'm remembering. That guy, I think he's a good coach. He blew that game. You're ripping through the Seahawks defense to try and go tie the game. Easy plays. 6, 7, 8, 6, 9. Calling short plays that are getting yards after the catch and everything. And what happens? They get to the red zone. What does he do? They had like a minute left. 2 timeouts.
Yeah.
Shot. Taking shots to the end zone. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Example of players can win games, coaches lose them. He lost them that game. Terrible. Hated to see it too.
Easily. It was in their hands.
Because I like the Cardinals a lot. But yeah, they lose that game. So let's go ahead here with our Week 11 matchups. Christian.
So Philadelphia at the Browns.
Eagles.
Browns are coming through. Eagles are going to make the playoffs.
I root against every single NFC East team because I want chaos. So, yeah, I'm taking the Browns.
I mean, the Browns won a tough one in Houston 10-7 last week. Really rough rough game. That was probably one of the most boring games I think ever.
Well, in the weather too, what was crazy is that weather hit there and then hit
Yeah.
New England that night.
Yep.
The fake field goal punt, at first when I saw that come through Twitter, I was like, oh my God, is Billy O'Brien back coaching the Texans? How is this happening? But then I saw that, it's like 30-mile-an-hour winds, it's pouring rain.
Yeah.
And it was a 50-yard field goal, and they said, let's just line up, which actually is a smart play. Line
Oh,
up when
yeah,
you're going to
mass
kick the field
separation.
goal. No one's going to be back there to try and field a punt, and you pin them. So I thought that was kind of, at first I was like, this is the worst thing ever. And I thought, okay. Next.
Atlanta at New Orleans.
Ooh, Taysom Hill getting the start, which I think there's two sides of it. One, wow, quite an indictment on Jameis Winston that
Well, supposedly the rumor is people are not happy that he's not starting. So
that, I think the reason he's not starting is they want to see if Hill is actually.
I agree with that, but I'm saying
it's been talked about, so you might as well see if Hill can be the guy. However, in the short term, keep Hill in his role as a change of pace guy, and his value is in that he's not out there all the time. So we'll see how he does as a starter. It doesn't matter whoever's starting this game. I mean, I'm going New Orleans because Atlanta's terrible.
Yeah, I think honestly, for all the past few weeks when we've said New Orleans, there's something weird going on there. They're winning games and their roster is so good. I think they have a shot at the Super Bowl in the NFC. Just the way the division, the conference is. I don't think it's a very good conference.
They need to keep up, though. They need to keep up. They can't fall.
Yeah. Oh,
behind,
yeah. What they go last year with Bridgewater, like 6-1 or something. But I probably have that wrong. But I'll go Saints anyway.
Yeah. Note on Drew Brees, he could be back by week 14. So the Saints are going to have to, get through it. Broken ribs, you can kind of play through. Tom Brady's done it. He's hitting it. Strap up the flak jacket. A collapsed lung, a little more serious.
Not great. Yeah.
Out for some time because of that.
Bergeron would play through it, but
yeah, well, that's hockey. Hockey guys are tapped. Next.
Moving on to Cincy and Washington. That is in Washington. But yeah, this is Cincy. I think I'm taking Joe Burrow this week.
Same. Cincy. I root against all NFC East teams. Chaos.
It's just what a division it is. Detroit at Carolina. No Teddy Bridgewater today either.
Feel bad for him, man.
Rough
dude,
go. Yeah.
No luck. Detroit, one of those teams that's like better. I don't say they're better than their record, but I don't know what to make. They actively try to lose games, which gives me no confidence to pick them. But I also think without Bridgewater, Carolina is not all that good. I want to go Lions here.
Yeah.
The Lions are going to be 8-8, and so I just feel like they should win this game.
If Bridgewater was playing, I'd say Carolina. Otherwise, I just can't do it. I think Lions will come away with that one. Pittsburgh at Jacksonville.
All right.
Do we even need to mention it?
Should be a trap game, but all the Steelers have talked about all week is about it being a trap game and being ready for any opponent. They had a very Patriots-like approach to this game.
Steelers.
So Steelers. I want to take a peek though, real quick, at the Steelers schedule because I'm interested in something. Steelers 9-0 right now. Okay, they have some tough games remaining. The Ravens will be tough. The Bills will be tough. Bengals, I don't know.
Colts will be tough.
Browns will be tough. I'm
going to pick them until they lose. I just can't do it any other way.
Is there any possibility that this Steelers team goes 16-0?
There's definitely a possibility. I don't think it will happen though.
Nobody's talking about it. The Steelers are the best team in football right now.
Yeah.
Unless something happens to Roethlisberger, which very well could happen, right? Not that we wish that, but a guy that doesn't take the best care of himself.
I think they're going to get bit in one of these games. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I would side against it not happening, or side against it happening, because I think the Bills or Browns or one of these teams, random teams, will come up and bite them.
Yeah. We'll see. I just think now we're getting into that territory where we have to start mentioning it is a possibility. But yeah,
Once you get closer to that
Pittsburgh
undefeated
today.
schedule, you're the Sphincter Titans, and yeah, it's no good.
Well, if they get through today, the matchup with the Ravens is the biggest one. But if they get to the Ravens, Washington, the Bills, they're better than both of those teams. They're better than the Bengals. At that point, like you said, does the pressure get to you and you drop a game to the Bengals because now you're thinking about it? Um,
They
they
played
don't
down
have
to one of these teams,
they
didn't
don't
they?
have
Who the hell
cupcakes,
did
but
they
they
play
could
down to?
very easily get to 12-0, and then it
They
starts
almost
getting
lost to the
interesting.
Cowboys, though. I just feel like they're going to get bit in one of these games. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
They'll play down to one of them. I don't know. We'll see, but it is within the realm of possibility. I just don't see it happen.
All right, next.
Tennessee at Baltimore.
The Titans are going to get annihilated. And here's why. Their defense is not good. The Ravens are going to be incredibly motivated and angry. And you are going to get a very heavy dose of Lamar Jackson all over the field. I just think the Ravens have a bounce back game in them. I didn't like a lot of what I saw out of their defense against the Patriots. I think Marcus Peters is a guy who I thought flat out looked like he gave up at points in that game. They got run on a lot, and the Titans are going to try and jam Derrick Henry down their throat. I think this is a high scoring game, but I just don't see any way the Titans are going to stop Lamar Jackson this time around. I just think that team is going to have been they're a team that's just been waiting to get back on a field since Sunday night, and that
Yeah.
defense for the Titans is not going to be able to do anything to stop. So this is going to be a shootout. This is going to be a great game. Ravens, Ravens, Ravens.
I think both of these teams have kind of come back to earth. Like the Titans started out really strong, but it's kind of like their defense was never great. The Ravens have kind of they're not this like dynamic, I feel like yeah, obviously the more film that you get on them, Lamar Jackson's going to make you miss some tackles, but people have kind of clamped down on him a bit this year. He's not running rampant like he was last year, MVP caliber type season. With that being said, I'm going to go Titans today.
Ooh, okay. Okay. The first game we are different on this week. Next.
New England at Houston. We'll wait on that one. And then Miami at Denver. It's an interesting game, actually.
In Denver, the Dolphins. Man, the Dolphins have been really surprising here. 6-3. This is a big boy game for the Dolphins. This is a test, it's another test. They've been passing the tests here. If they're ready to be legit, if they can legitimately make the playoffs and make some noise, you got to win this game. And I'll put it to you this way, Patriots fans, you better be rooting for Denver today. Because if the Dolphins get to 7-3, those odds of you maybe sneaking into the playoffs shrink dramatically.
By a lot.
So I just think in Denver, there's got to be a little bit of a come down here for Tua. Tua's going to have a game where he struggles. Denver, I like Denver. I like that offense. I like their defense. They're not a great team. They're a good team. They're a solid team. I'm not ready to just say the Dolphins are an easy pick, and that makes me take the home team. So I'm going Denver. Don't like it, but I'm going Denver.
Going Fins. Tua time, baby.
Tua time.
That honestly, with B-Flow there, I was always a fan of him when he was here too. But he actually, for once, a Patriots coach has left and has a team playing well. It's kind of refreshing when you look at it. But I think he's got something down there, and that team is actually fun to watch if you haven't tuned into them at all. So I'm going to take the Fins.
Last week was great. You had Herbert and Tua, which was a great matchup to watch. Two guys who are rookies who are playing really, really well. And
Dolphins defense is
they're both exciting. Next up,
New York Jets at the Chargers.
Oh my God! If there's a team that's gonna gift the Jets a win, it would be the Chargers, who are 2-7. How?
Yeah.
And they lose
6-3.
all of these games that they lose are so heartbreaking. Man.
Yeah, let me just break this down real quick.
I
right? The
want to pick
Chargers.
the Jets, honestly, just out of
I'm sure you do. You would. Yeah, you
but
would pick the Jets.
because I've been picking the Chargers every week and they're doing.
I know. But here, let me give you. Let me maybe I'll swing you here to pick the Chargers, okay? Because it is the Jets, and here's how they've won by 3, they lost by 3, lost by 5, lost by a touchdown, lost by 3, won by 10, lost by 1, lost by 5, lost by a touchdown. So it's like they're right there, and then they can't close these games for some reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's coaching, maybe it's the players on the field, but they just can't come through these games with a win. They could be 6-3 right now if they could just find a way to win a game. I'm still taking the Chargers because the Jets absolutely blow, and I can't pick them with yeah.
All right, I'm with you.
just
I'm
can't.
taking the Chargers. I've defended Anthony Lynn on this program. You lose this game, I think there's going to be talk about him getting fired.
Yeah.
That seat has to get red hot.
Yeah.
And I like him. I think he's a good coach.
No.
You know, I think he gets that team. It's not like the team's not trying. But I think you lose to the Jets. The Jets should go 0-16.
Yeah.
The only team that probably can lose to them is the Jaguars. That's it.
Maybe the Patriots. But other than that, Jets should lose every game. The Chargers should win this probably by at least a touchdown, maybe 10 or above. I can't with a right mind pick the Jets. I just can't do it.
Yeah. All right, next.
Green Bay at Indy. Sneaky game here. This is a good game.
Indy. I don't like Green Bay. I don't know. Something just smells about them. They seem like a fraudulent team.
They do seem pretty fraudulent. Yeah, they beat the Jaguars by 4 last week. Then again, every time I pick the Colts, I feel like Rivers lays a poop right on midfield. So I don't know if I can pick either of these teams with liking it, but I'm going to go Colts anyway.
Yeah. Indy.
And then Dallas at the Vikes.
Oh, who's Dallas starting at quarterback this week? Let's see.
Who the hell knows?
Let's see. Starting QB. Google automatically fills out starting QB this week.
Yeah.
Andy
knows.
Dalton. Looks like Andy Dalton's back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Minnesota. He stinks.
Yeah, Minnesota. I'm not going to overthink it.
Minnesota's actually coming back to earth here. Alvin Cook has raised that team's level by 1 million.
Yeah.
They've won 3 in a row now. So I like the way they're going. Kansas City at Las Vegas. This actually could be a pretty good game.
Vegas got the better of them last time. Let's see. What are the Raiders right now? 6-3. Chiefs in 8-1. Ah, man.
Welcome to the Death Star, though, Patrick Mahomes. I think Vegas wins the game. I'm gonna go Vegas.
Oh, this is such a tough one. I'm picking the Chiefs, and here's why. It's not an unheard of pick to make. It's not a bad bet to make, and I need to make up games on you. So if you're taking the Raiders, I'm taking Las Vegas. I think highly entertaining game. Hashtag no defense.
Well, there were 72 points scored last time, so I think we can top that and go maybe like 92.
No defense.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like. You got to pick. You know, it's very off and on, but you got to pick Vegas on a good day in order to get them to win a game. So I'm going to say
that's the Sunday night game, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then tomorrow night, there's Scams at Tampa Bay.
The who? Oh, the Rams.
Scams, yeah.
Why are you calling them the Scams?
Back when they were the greatest show on turf, my uncle used to call them the Scams, so I call them the Scam.
It's a new one. Rams.
No, come on, Tampa Bay, baby. Tampa Brady is back.
Nope.
See that game last week? Oof.
Nope.
That last week is the potential for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, they're not going to have it week in, week out, so I don't believe in them. But, I mean, Oof, man, when Tom Brady is throwing the ball all over the field to different guys other than Antonio Brown, they look pretty good. You
Yeah,
might want to keep
when they're
doing that.
playing the Panthers, it's easy to look good.
Hey, I don't know. I mean, will they beat the Saints in the playoffs? Probably not. Will they beat the Rams tomorrow night? Yes.
I'm picking the Rams. You're going Tampa Bay. It's fine. It's okay. I know you're still in love with Tommy there. So
Usually we come back next week and you say, well, I had a bad week again. So, it's all right.
I actually hadn't tallied up last week. If you want, actually, here we can do this right now because I hadn't gone through the scores. I'll try and do this off memory because all right. So Cleveland beat Houston last week. Detroit almost gave away that game. Matt Patricia was this close to getting fired. Green Bay beat Jacksonville. The Giants did beat Philly, so I got that one on you. Carolina, we had both picked. They lost. Denver, the Raiders. Vegas won that, right? Because they've won 3
Yeah,
in a row.
Vegas absolutely smoked them. Yeah.
The Chargers lost to Miami. Arizona. Oh my God. Oh yeah, we didn't even mention because we already got another Cardinals game. That Hopkins catch, ridiculous. Absolutely
Hopkins
absurd.
is an absolute stud. Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
I would take him just about, I would take him over just about anybody else in the league right now.
The Seahawks lost to the Rams. So that was one for you. New Orleans did beat San Francisco. Pittsburgh did beat Cincy. Ah, man, and we both picked the Ravens. We both suck. Though I didn't think we thought. I mean, we'll get into the Patriots here in a second. And then Chicago, Minnesota. Minnesota won that game, correct?
Yeah.
So we will get the tally here in just a moment. The fully updated tally.
Dun, 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 dun.
You are up 16 games on me,
Oof.
89 to 73. You had a 9-6 week last week, or 9-6. You gained 3 games on me. So yeah, I'm not doing. I have not done well here since about week 7, week 6 actually. So to the Patriots here in today's game against the Houston Texans. Last week, what did we say? The only way the Patriots beat the Ravens: run the ball, don't turn it over, get a turnover or two, and hope that there's a complete maelstrom. Talk about a literal and figurative perfect storm.
Yeah.
Because the weather, I'm stunned. I think John Harbaugh's a good coach. That team couldn't handle the rain at all. And they got in their own way. 4th down, midfield. We've got the best, multiple option quarterback in the NFL. And what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to go Wildcat in the pouring rain to Mark Ingram.
Yep. And then the ball's going to slip out of his hands, and there we go, backwards. Nice.
So the Ravens had ample opportunity to win that game, and they got in their own way a bunch. Now, I give the Patriots defense credit. The Patriots defense played better. They were better against the run. Guess what? They actually made 1 or 2 plays in the backfield.
You know why they were better against the run? Because they added another guy up front. I don't even know his name. He was off the Jacksonville practice squad, but he's a big guy. You put him in the middle there, and also there was a couple other guys out there. Duggar was one of them. Winovich had a absolutely monster game on Sunday on both. He was decent in the pass game, but in the run game, he was getting to the quarterback. He was all over the field. And I want to see more of Kyle Duggar, I'll be honest, because I don't think a lot of the times, I don't think, Adrian Phillips is good. And if you put him and Duggar in there, he's a little bit more stout. He's like a Patrick Chung, right? He's going to come in the box and he's going to come up in the box and stop. He'll be able to stop the run theoretically. So I'd like to see him play these young guys more. And even Uche made some plays. I believe it was Uche, right? He came around and he had a sack. So start playing these young guys just a little bit more. Maybe you hit lightning in a bottle with a couple of them and you can get off the field. They won on 1st and 2nd down this week. Obviously the weather was definitely a factor. And the Ravens didn't seem ready to go. but I'm going to give a credit to the Patriots. I think they played their game plan really well, right? Offensively, they didn't give the ball up, no turnovers. Newton was pretty good. And then you just had a full sheet of Burkhead, Harris, and I mean Harris once again he's becoming one of my favorite players to watch. I mean the guy just runs. He doesn't care if there's no hole there. He's going to make one, and that's what I like to see. Instead of dancing behind the line and no real burst. Like this guy has burst. He runs hard. He's just imagine picking Sony Michel. But they once again are just. I want to see some of these young guys keep playing. Myers again. He threw the best ball of all time this year for the Patriots.
Yeah, best pass
what a
of the
throw
year.
that was. And I just think they had the game plan. If they don't turn the ball over, they manage the clock somewhat, and they just get off the field once in a while, they're fine. That's what you expect out of the team that they are now. They're not going to run up and down the field with Tom Brady back in 2017, 2016. But this is what they are. Don't turn the ball over. Play discipline. Run the ball and pass a little bit when you can, and you should be good to go. I think Newton was, again, I think he was pretty good in this game. And you could tell from the jump, the Patriots were engaged when Newton, I don't know if you remember this, he went around the left-hand side on a QB option. And he trucked some defensive back there for the Ravens right over the top of him.
Put his shoulder into him.
Yeah. And you could just tell they were engaged this time around. And were they perfect? No. But I think that gives you a little more hope than the last few weeks, because I think not getting off the field is just a huge problem. And if they can just manage to win on first and second down sometimes, they'll be in good shape. This is what they are now.
Yeah. Big win. I said the only way you get back into the playoff conversation is to go 3-0 in your next 3 games. You needed to beat the Jets, beat the Ravens, beat the Texans. They will have a great shot today because guess what? The Texans are terrible at stopping the run.
Yeah.
Now, it comes down to the Patriots defense again. They're not playing in a maelstrom. No maelstrom in the dome. So the question becomes, can you actually stop Deshaun Watson?
Let me. Do you want to be in this company though? The only two they have 2 wins on the season, right? The Texans. The 2 teams they beat is the same team, and it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you want to be in the company with the Jacksonville Jaguars of the only team to lose to the Texans? That'd be a pretty bad look.
No. Well, it would effectively end unless there's COVID cancellations, like they have to full on cancel a week.
This is it. This is your season right here.
Exactly, and the percentages are still small as is. But you need to win today. You cannot, under any circumstance, lose this game. You could maybe afford to lose to Arizona, NFC team, won't matter. Cannot lose to another. They can't lose to another AFC opponent, point blank.
Right.
Actually, they can't. Can't afford to do that. I'm picking them today because of Houston's inability to stop the run. I just think the Patriots want to run the ball. Other teams know it. The Ravens knew it last week, and the Patriots still ran right through them.
Yeah, I can't in good faith pick a team that's only beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I don't think Houston is good at all. And I don't think the Patriots are any great shake right now, but they have done some good things here in the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to take them this time around.
I agree. Also, note on that the rain last week, that was unreal. I mean,
oh yeah,
unbelievable. I joked that there would be a Weathergate investigation because it let up as soon as the game ended.
Yeah.
The only other time I've seen rain that bad, and it wasn't even that bad, was in 2013. The Patriots lost a game to the Bengals. They had a chance to go down and win. They had plenty of time, timeouts, even with that bad receiving core. It was like, hey, Brady's going to be able to move the ball down the field. And the sky opened up, and they couldn't throw the ball more than 5 yards.
That's kind of what happened, right? Ravens, as soon as the Ravens got the ball, downpour.
Deluge in sheets of rain, buckets. It looked like something out of a movie. But yeah, the weather, Mother Nature was against the Ravens in that game. So Celtics, I said, hey, you needed the win, so you take it any way you can get it. I'm trying to see now. So that does it for the NFL stuff. Like I said, we're live every Sunday at 11, starting at 11 a.m. here on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. We use Restream to come to you on all those platforms. And then we also put out the show as a podcast through Sounder FM, or you can subscribe through there or your favorite podcasting app. Just search for The 360 Sports Show. You can reach us anytime during the live stream on any of the comment sections of those feeds, and also by emailing us at the360sportshow@gmail.com. So a lot of NBA stuff today. I'm sure we'll have more to break down on that next week. Trying to keep an eye open here if any news is going to break. A lot of small things happening.
Yeah, nothing substantial.
Nothing really that substantial. Though this is from Jared Weiss. Atlanta's offer sheet for Bogdanovich has been ready to go for several days now. Then making it a formality puts the pressure on Bogdanovich to sign it now instead of waiting on other potential offers, such as one that Boston could make if it works with Charlotte. Oh, meaning if they get a sign and trade worked out. If Boston does manage to get a TP out of Charlotte and misses on Bogdanovich, it's not the end of the world. They could still make a trade even during next offseason, but it's much cheaper asset-wise to do a sign and trade than a straight-up trade. And Boogie is always a... And Boogie? Does he mean Boogie Cousins?
Probably Bogey. Yeah,
Bogey. It's going to mean Bogey. Okay, yeah. Bogdanovich is basically a Hayward play style. You know, basically that they're similar. So I guess there's still smoke of this sign and trade thing, but again, I want to see. I want to pull up really great resource, TradeNBA.com. Basically stays up to date with rosters and assets. I want to see. Technically, Hayward is still on the Celtics because this deal is not official. Charlotte Hornets. Let's take a look at Gordon Hayward here, what they've got down for his contract. So here's the details of the Hayward contract. He's going to make $27 million this year, then 29, then 30, then 32. So it's slightly backloaded, which is how these deals make, but it's not so much so. So the Hornets, let's see. Trade to Hornets. Let me just send some garbage going back. Actually, no, I can't. They technically right now can squeeze him in.
Yeah,
but
because of Batum, I think they did something with Batum.
Yeah, they waive and stretch Batum. I'm just looking at what they have for assets. I mean, there's if you do the sign and trade, I mean, you're taking back, I don't know, Cody Zeller.
Not much. Yeah, probably Zeller. That's probably the guy.
So just straight up that works. So you got to figure the Danny Ainge is going to want picks, or that TPE. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, they've got some first rounders. It's not like they have this cash. Oh, they've got a lottery pick from some other team. I come back to it. Never had to come to this. Never had to come to this. I would have them as soon as you thought, okay, it's slipping away. Gordon's listening to actual like bigger offers from the Knicks or the Hornets. You should have said, hey, Indy, you know what? Miles Turner, Dougie McDermott, and that pick sound pretty good right now. Mm-hmm. And just get it done. And Hayward would have accepted it in a heartbeat. And guess what? If you don't like Miles Turner, you can turn around and flip him for something else.
Yeah. But
now, if they get, like you said, if they end up working out a sign and trade and get a massive TPE, I guess you can't gripe too much because in the end, they will have put themselves in a position to continue to improve the team. As it stands right now, big L.
Yep.
Yeah, trying to see. It doesn't look like there's much. I don't know. If you were going to ask me right now what I think is going to happen, I don't think they get a sign and trade done. I don't think so because there's no reason. The Hornets, I don't think care to.
No, I don't think they will either. I mean, at this point, it's just kind of a waiting game. All I see is NFL, so everybody's going to watch football.
Yeah. So, I'd say I don't expect there to be any breaking news. Well, we always say that. And so, with no seeming sign, and the thing is, this could drag on for a while.
Yeah, it still could drag out, yeah.
I mean, this could drag on till Monday or Tuesday. Hopefully not, but it certainly could. So, we will have more NBA stuff for you next week, certainly. So if you have any thoughts or questions, email them to the 360sportshow at gmail.com. Like I said, we're live every single Sunday at 11 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. You can like, follow, and subscribe to any of those platforms to catch the show live, or subscribe to the podcast through Sounder FM or your favorite podcasting platform. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll certainly have more to sift through with the NFL and NBA next week. A Mike Tyson fight on the docket this week as well. Christian, unless there's anything else, I guess not exactly the nicest day outside, but I guess we could just enjoy a relaxing day on the couch.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I'm Andrew Pizzelli. He's Christian Lauber. Thank you for tuning in, folks. And we will catch you all again next week.
See you later.